Hey there everybody, welcome back to another one of my budgeting videos. This is going to be my weekly update on my digital cash envelopes. Now it is a little bit convoluted, and I know that usually when I start one of these videos saying that it's complicated or convoluted or anything other than absolutely rosy and perfect, it's because I've made mistakes and I can't figure out where the mistakes are, and so I'm just a bundle of confusion, but that's not actually the case this time. I had a lot of charges that I could not use my prepaid credit card for. Sorry, I should backtrack in case you're new. So my cash spending, my variable money, is kept in a digital format because most of the places that I shop prefer for you to tap a card versus actually paying with cash. And there's a couple places, like small independent places, that refuse to take cash. So it's easier for me just to keep everything digital, but I don't want to keep my money sitting in my regular bank account because it'll just be too hard for me to keep track of it and whatnot. So every payday when I do my budget, I figure out my money for my cash envelopes that are for groceries, miscellaneous fund, physio, and transportation, and then I move that money over to a prepaid, cannot talk today, sorry, a prepaid MasterCard, and then I tap that MasterCard when I'm doing spending from any of these categories. Now, what happened this time was I had a lot of charges that went onto the credit card, either because I was purchasing something online or I couldn't get the card to tap. I'll explain them all to you, so they all have like reasons. But because of that, I have charges that I've written down on my tracking page here that didn't actually come out or off of the prepaid MasterCard. They got charged to the Visa card. So I have recorded everything here, but I need to move the money off of the prepaid card over into my bank account so that I can then make a payment onto my Visa card. However, I overspent because of course I did. And so I can't just easy breezy move the money over because you cannot put the prepaid MasterCard into a negative balance. It's one of like the perks for me is that once the money is spent, the money is spent. So I have to be careful because they're not sitting on the card in separate categories. All of the categories, the money is just one lump sum on the card. And so I need to keep track of what's being pulled from to pay for what to make sure that I don't use all of the money towards like the fun category, leaving nothing left over for groceries or transportation or physio, things like that. So usually it kind of works. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm not great at math. I flub things up. But overall, I want to say that the system that I figured out tends to work more than it does not work. Like it hasn't been so flawed for me that I have given it up completely. I just keep trying to get better at it. So let me show you what charges have gone on and what's happening with the card and just kind of bring you up to date. So I want to apologize as well if the pen is really pale from sort of the February 8th line down. I didn't realize when I was writing it in how pale it was, and then I realized if I try to go over it, because some of the writing's pretty small, it'll make it even harder to read in its own way. So I will speak everything out in case you can't actually see what the numbers are, and I will try to do a better job with my pen selection next time. So when we last left off, it was February 7th, and I was all proud of myself because I hadn't messed anything up. It was because I hadn't done any purchasing. So I had put in my money into the categories: 80 into groceries, nothing into miscellaneous, 15 into fun, nothing into physio, and 10 into transportation, leaving me with balances for groceries of $68.65, miscellaneous $24.64, fund $58.25, physio $31.50, and transportation $101.86. Now, on February the 8th, I went to Superstore and I spent $43.71 on groceries, and I had a Dragon Boat meeting that day. That was a Saturday. So on the way there, I stopped at a cafe, and you probably can't read that. It's very pale even for me. My pen started to die there. I spent $10 on like a pastry and a tea so that I had something to eat at the meeting because I didn't have a chance to eat before I went. And then I had to pay for parking in the area. So from transportation, I paid $2.28 for parking. On February the 9th, I had an Amazon purchase. Now this is where these little red dots are gonna start. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. There was one there, but I've crossed it off. So anything with a little red dot on it didn't actually get charged directly or paid for directly from the prepaid MasterCard. It's something that went on to the Visa card. So it's something that I'm calculating as coming out of this category, but has not actually physically been paid off from this card yet. It has been charged to my poor little credit card. So Amazon, I had a purchase of $15.62. The reason that didn't come off of this card is because my Amazon account is attached to my credit card. And so it just sort of automatically charged to the credit card. That is, I bought these boxes that have inserts in them so that when you make cupcakes, you can like transport them without them getting all messed up. So that is what that charges for. I figured miscellaneous is the best category for it. One day when I have enough money, I will have a category strictly for like hobbies, or maybe even just one specifically for like baking, because I really like to bake, but it's an expensive hobby. So for now, it comes from miscellaneous. That was my only purchase this day. Funnily enough, a lot of these dates are like a little off from when I made the purchase because of when like they processed through. So we're just gonna go with it. February the 11th, Superstore, $23.55. This was the day that I bought. So there's a lot of explanations. One of the guys on my Dragon Boat team is in a band and they had a gig. So there was, the gig was on Thursday, and there are charges related to that event. So this is my concert ticket. It was $14.16 once you added in all the fees and everything, and it is a red dot, so it charged to the Visa card, and that is because I had to purchase, well, I didn't have to purchase it online, but if you bought it in advance, it was $3 cheaper than buying it at the site. But I can't use my prepaid credit card for the majority of online purchases. Whenever I try, it doesn't work, so I had to use my Visa card. And then I also got gas for $73.48. I tried to tap my card. I thought I had figured out why it won't tap at gas stations, and apparently I'm wrong. I thought that it wouldn't tap because it, what's it called? You know, like when you get to the gas station and I don't know. Okay, it might be different where you live. Where we live, you have to prepay before you can start pumping the gas. It's a theft thing. So, you tap whatever card you're going to be paying with, and then it pre-authorizes. It automatically always wants to pre-authorize up to $250, and then you say yes, and then it pre-authorizes your card, and then you can get your gas, and then you're only charged for however much gas you actually put in. But my card, this prepaid card, it never gets approved. It always gets denied, and I thought that it was because it was trying to pre-authorize for a higher amount than usually what I have as a balance on the card. So this time I was like, okay, I'm going to use it, but I'm going to change the pre-authorized amount to like a smaller number, and it wouldn't let me. It just like jumped right past that screen to automatically trying to pre-authorize $250, and then of course it said no, so I ended up using the Visa card. I don't know. I know I've said this before, but because I thought I had a solution, but it didn't work this time again, I think I really am just going to have to assume that every time I'm getting gas, it's going to be on the Visa, and just to be prepared to transfer money out of the transportation column over to pay for the charge onto the Visa card, because it's never, I think it taps if I go in and I pay like to a human, but then I have to actually tell them an exact amount that I want to charge, and it's way more effort. So that went to the Visa card. Then on the 13th was the actual day of the concert. So I was out with the team, and we got a bite to eat. Now I ate before I went, so I just got an appetizer. It was $15.53. I got some poutine. It was lovely. This actually did get charged to my prepaid MasterCard, so I did pay for this already. Like, it did come from these funds. And then I also I opted for getting a Lyft to the concert and back, not because I was drinking or anything, but I knew by the end of the concert my concussion symptoms would be rearing and I wouldn't be safe to drive, and I also hate parking downtown. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to use the money in my transportation category to get myself transportation there. But in the weirdness of the billing and how it charged, like, this is my trip there, $13.74. My trip back though shows up on the 14th, so it's weird. But so on the 13th, the meal with the team was paid for off of this card. The Lyft ride for $13.74 was charged to the Visa card. And then on the 14th, 2 charges from the night of the 13th came through. So I bought a concert t-shirt to support my friend. It was $25. That went onto the Visa card. And then this is the Lyft ride home. I was not out past midnight, so this was definitely supposed to charge on the 13th, but whatever. It was $10.20. And then on the 16th, I did grocery shopping for $44.40, and I had no other purchases that day. So my grocery category is in a negative balance of $43.01. I don't know what got into me with my grocery shopping. I mean, like, sometimes I go negative in this column, but not usually by that amount. So I'm a little bit stunned at myself. I don't know what happened. Miscellaneous. So even though that was a Visa charge, like, I'm deducting everything out to give me balances. So I did have a balance of $9.02, and then more adjustments. So they're connected to the fund category. So the fund category, once I deducted everything out, was at a negative balance of $6.44. So I moved $6.44 from the miscellaneous category over to the fund category to bring fund to a zero and miscellaneous to $2.58. I'm perfectly content to float money from one category to another to help bring one out of a negative balance. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter in this particular instance, and I will explain why, but it was really just so that next payday, when I'm funding the categories again, I'm just starting it from a zero versus a negative. So say I put $30 in, then it's really going to be $30. It's not going to be 20 something, because like it's taking away 644, so it was just sort of more for the ease of my math on payday. Physio, I didn't have a physio appointment that I had to pay for, so that just was a very lovely untouched column, still with a balance of $31.50. Sort of having problems with my pen again here, so it looks really wonky. Transportation had so many charges, and usually it has nothing. So it had parking, and then gas, and then Lyft. So by the end of it, that left me with a balance of $2.16 in transportation. All of these onto the Visa card. So what this means is I can't just take all but $2.16 from transportation and all the money from fund and all but $2.58 from miscellaneous and put it over onto the Visa card as of like this very moment in time, because groceries is so far in the negative that if I move all the money, there won't be enough money. Like my card will go into a negative balance, if that makes sense. So I had to decide what I was going to do, because I want the Visa card paid off before the end of the billing cycle, and so I need to take care of that, clearly. But also this category being in a negative is affecting my ability to pull from these three categories to pay off their Visa charges, because again, the card cannot actually go into a negative balance. So the only reason that it's okay right now, even though groceries is negative 4301, is because the money that's technically belonging to other categories is kind of floating to cover that on the card balance. So what I have done is, in transportation, all of these charges total up to $99.70. So I've moved over $99.70 to my bank account, and then I moved it from the bank account to a payment on the Visa card. So that is going to be paying off all of the transportation related charges onto the credit card. I mean, it takes 3 days of processing, or business days, or whatever it is, but it's done. I have not paid off of the credit card, the concert ticket, the concert t-shirt, the Amazon charge, and a couple other charges that went to the Visa that I didn't include here. I'm trying to think what it is now. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, I'll explain it in a minute. They're not connected to this, so they don't really matter in this update. But the point is that I have charges from miscellaneous and charges from the fund categories that have been calculated and deducted from here, but I just can't move the money over from here yet, because if I do, the card balance is going to be too low and it's going to go into a negative. I wish I had written down the current card balance, but I use the app on my phone, and the phone is what I use to record, but it's like $40 something. So yes, this is where I'm at. Now I know that it may seem like chaos and like I've really messed it up again or something, but I'm actually okay with this, because I understand why the numbers are what they are, where the money went, what's happened. Do you know what I mean? Usually when my numbers are off and things aren't mathing properly, I'm super in the dark and very confused, and I'm just I don't understand what I've done. I completely understand what I have done this time, and I very firmly believe that it's going to be okay, and I'm going to be able to make it right before the end of the billing cycle. It's just a matter of I'm waiting for payday on Friday, and then when I have like when I do the budget on Friday and I calculate the money that's going to be going from the budget into the various categories, then that is going to bring the balance up so that then I can make the payment for the remaining charges that went to the Visa onto the Visa. I hope that makes sense. It's really a matter of I need to fix the groceries category to get it out of the negative, to get it at least at a zero, but clearly into a positive, because I'll have to buy groceries over the next 2 weeks after I get paid, so that then I can take the money from these categories because it's no longer floating to cover the negative of the groceries and pay the Visa. So it's like I know that the money is there, it's just being borrowed for the time being to keep the card in a plus balance, but it's earmarked for the Visa to pay off the charges. I just can't move the money over there yet. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because it really does make sense. It's tracked. I figured it all out. It's just I'm not sure how well I'll be able to explain it. So hopefully it makes sense to everybody. But this is my update for my digital cash envelopes. I know that at a quick glance, I mean, assuming you can read the poor ink, because seriously, it started fading everywhere. I wasn't using this pen. I was using a different one that's usually fine, but then just in certain cells on my page, it would just stop writing. I don't know if it's maybe something on like the other side that's affecting it. I'm not really sure. But I know that at a quick glance, they look like they're in horrid shape, because that's in a negative, that has hardly anything in it, that's at zero, that has hardly anything in it, and this is just sitting there with a random 31.50 that I'm not touching. But I promise it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. You'll see next week when I have payday and I get everything, like, this is like stage 1 of tracking it all and getting it all settled and sorted, and then next week when it's payday, it'll be like stage 2 of it, and then it'll all be like just taken care of and tucked away. So just trust me. I say that, but we all know my math skills, but try to trust me, because I feel very confident that I understand what's going on with them and it is going to work. So these are my digital cash envelope updates for this week. Thank you so very much for watching this video with me. I really do appreciate it. I just said that really weird, for watching this video with me. Thank you so very much for watching the video. And I don't know, I do really appreciate it. I hope if you're doing any budgeting, if you're doing digital cash envelopes or actual physical cash envelopes, or just a completely different style of budgeting, whatever it is, I hope that it's really working out for you. And I hope that even when it's something that's confusing like this is, and it's hard to explain, but you know that it's working, I hope that that is working for you. I really do. So again, thank you so very much. I will talk to you all in the next video. Stay safe out there. Bye.